Hello and welcome. My name is Mark Horseman, Data Evangelist with DataVersity. We'd like to thank you for joining the latest installment of the monthly DataVersity webinar series, Analytic Architectures, with William McKnight. Today, William's title is AI Ops, Applying DevOps to Competitive Advantage. Just a couple of points to get us started. Due to the large number of people that attend these sessions, you will be muted during the webinar. For questions, we will be collecting them by the Q&A section. If you would like to chat with us or chat with each other, we certainly encourage you to do so. And just to note, the Zoom chat defaults to send to just the panelists, but you may absolutely switch that to network with everyone. To find and open both the Q&A and the chat sections, you'll see the icons for those features in the bottom middle of your screen. As always, we will send a follow-up email within a couple of business days containing links to the slides. And yes, we are recording this session and we'll send that out as well. Now, let me introduce to you the speaker for this series, William McKnight. William has advised many of the world's best-known organizations. His strategies form the information management plan for leading companies in numerous industries. He is a prolific author and popular keynote speaker and trainer. He has performed dozens of benchmarks on leading database, data lake, streaming, and data integration products. William is the #1 global influencer in data warehousing and master data management, and he leads McKnight Consulting Group, which has thrice placed on the Inc. 5000 list. And with that, I will hand the floor over to William to get today's presentation started. Hello and welcome, my friend.
Hello, Mark, and welcome everybody. Welcome to the last analytics architecture of the year. I hope you have happy holidays out there. We look forward to a grand 2026 with analytics architecture. I got a lot of good topics for you there as well. Today, I have a good topic. It's AIOps, and it reminds me a little bit of a role that I used to do, which is system administration. Our data as data professionals, I mostly get data professionals out to this series. Our data is in operations. So we've decided at McKnight Consulting Group to cover this space. We have not published anything yet. It is coming, but this is a very tool-driven market. And I am going to share with you the things today that analytics professionals, data professionals need to know about this. AIOps really doesn't have a lot to do with managing the development of AI systems or moving AI models from dev to staging to production. That life cycle is called MLOps. So, not to be confused with AIOps. AIOps is using AI and machine learning to automate and enhance IT operations. So, I called this AIOps, applying DevOps to competitive advantage, because AIOps was originally framed by Gartner as a DevOps adjacent strategy, not purely the modern AI for operations meaning. And it does work with DevOps, and most people consider it part of DevOps. Gartner coined this term, AIOps, back in 2016. This was before, obviously, a lot has happened between 2016 and now, like log correlation and anomaly detection, and it's just gone in some crazy big directions since then, of course. But we call it AIOps. It's not, by the way, ITOA, which is operational analytics, and that's sort of an old framework that was very reactive to whatever happens in operations. But AIOps, as you'll see, is very predictive. AIOps is benefiting from accelerating spend and net new growth right now. There's a long way to go, but it is accelerating as we move into 2026. In particular, startups and mid-market customers are spending more sometimes than even a big enterprise. Why? Because they're the ones that are adding different services, adding different pipelines that enterprises have already invested in AIOps on.
William, hold on a second. I just wanted to double check with you. Your slides are not advancing. I'm still just seeing your opening slide.
Oh, that's because I'm still talking to the
Oh,
opening
okay,
slide.
okay. My apologies. I'm so sorry.
That's okay. That's okay. I'm being really extra long-winded here on this opening slide, and I can see where the confusion comes in. I promise I will advance the slide here in a minute. But back to what I was saying. AIOps is benefiting from accelerating spend and net new growth. It's not just for enterprise, it's for mid-market as well. We're still only in the early stages of observability rollout, which is observability is a big part of AIOps. As you'll see, many companies have still not implemented basic processes. So that's a little bit of the overview of AIOps, probably a little long-winded for the first slide, but anyway, here we go. For my company, McKnight Consulting Group, these are our partial technology implementations, as well as companies that we have pulled into our research and benchmarks and things like that. If you have any questions about the use of any of these technologies, let us know. I mentioned that we're going places in 2026. Now, my commitment is always to you, the analytics professional, that you will be a top 1%er in terms of your knowledge base if you listen to a rolling 12 months of this series. So that's how I design the topics for next year. There you see them all. So come back next month for trends in analytic architectures. So we're down in the weeds today, but we'll pull back to trends next month. Now, I feel like I'm the 457th person to say this. Sometimes when 456 people say something, it's not necessarily true, but in this case, I believe it is true that AI interest is at an all-time high and growing. You hear this all the time. Lots of companies are being built around APIs for something like ChatGPT. Pretty much, I don't know what percent of startups are that, but it's pretty high. Startups will not be able to create the AI themselves, but they can use the API. So we have a bifurcated marketplace where we have industry behemoths that are building big LLMs, and you have APIs on top of that. Nearly every industry and nearly every vertical is being transformed, and companies that are using these techniques in software and statistical models, they're using them to make predictions and drive business forward in a way that you're not able to do it with just humans. So if I'm on a briefing, if I'm hearing an investor pitch, if I'm talking to enterprise, it's all about AI. It doesn't take long. It doesn't take long before we're talking about AI. And do beware, I always say, do beware of AI washing, where it's really something else behind the scenes. AI is being used in the enterprise for things that are internal, if you will, well beyond operations. So as we add AI to operations, it's just logical. We're doing it now with customer service. AI is handling the high volume, repetitive inquiries that humans shouldn't waste time on. It creates faster resolution times and 24/7 coverage. Now, sometimes it's a pain when you're on the other side of that, but this is a trend. This is the way things are going. Also, personalized marketing strategies. We are developing them in the enterprise for our outreach and for innovative product development, shortening idea to prototype time dramatically. Engineers are getting early signals on defects and performance issues before production. And creative teams are using generative tools to explore more concepts faster, improving the odds of breakthrough ideas. So all we're doing is we're adding AI to operations, just like we're adding it to everything else in the enterprise. So let me give a fuller definition of AIOps. AIOps, cutting-edge approach that harnesses machine learning, large-scale data analytics, and automated processes to enhance and streamline IT operations. That's it. By gathering streams of telemetry. Now, telemetry is going to be a recurring theme here. I'll talk about it on a slide a little bit later, but it is at least part of what I've been calling and what a lot of people have been calling big data. So we used to call it big data, and now somehow some of that is telemetry. It's the stuff being thrown off inside the enterprise that we can finally, because of AIOps or just because we're advanced in everything else, we're able to do something with that. And this real-time insight enables enterprises to anticipate service interruptions, obviously important, quickly pinpoint the underlying cause of issues, and we are moving towards something that is just fully automated and automatically executing routine remediation actions. We're seeing all the tools moving into the automation of the fix to the problem that it identifies. So what has been going on that has led us to this? Well, we have data now being thrown off from increasingly observable systems. Systems are being built with internal telemetry that allows for us to observe those systems, whereas before that was an afterthought. Maybe you could get good data, maybe you just got whatever dashboard that it produced for you, it being an ERP system or something like that. But today you have increasingly observable systems. The democratization of data, the importance of data, the data is being caretaken, if you will, by the operations. And that is so important now. We're seeing that. And it's being rolled out across the enterprise. So we have many more data users in the enterprise. And machine learning has come aboard to let us do all sorts of things. Right? Okay, digital transformation. As these initiatives take place and systems are exposed to ever-increasing scale, IT teams must adapt to maintain control of new, rapidly changing, and massively scalable environments, which some of us call digital transformation. So, modern systems are made of many interconnected services. Each service can fail in several ways. And when you combine all the possible failures across all the services and you measure out sort of the cost of those failures, it just makes sense to do whatever you can to eliminate them. The number of potential failure scenarios is exponential right now without AIOps. To manage this complexity, companies use observability tools that collect logs, metrics, and traces from every part of the system. As systems become more instrumented, the amount of telemetry data produced skyrockets. So while the volume of data is becoming overwhelming, a lot of that data is noise, but humans can't manually sift through millions of logs and signals to pinpoint what went wrong. So as a result, making sense of the data and identifying the root cause of issues becomes harder and slower, even though the tooling is getting better. Now, I'm talking about this as if AIOps is totally a defense, totally on defense. Well, it can go on offense. It can find business insights as well with its exposure to data that lead us to better business results ultimately. But mostly we use it for defense right now. The overlap between rapidly expanding failure modes and rapidly growing observability data creates a bottleneck. So teams need an automated intelligence system like AIOps. Now, this comes up a lot in everything, right? Is that going to replace people? Is AIOps going to replace people? Longer term, actually, I'd say midterm, whatever you call 2-3 years out, I think AI will replace several on-call and ops people with AI curating remediation and how those logs get managed. So this is something that is lending itself, for better or for worse, into AI. So as companies adopt AIOps over time, there'll be less manual need for the things we're going to talk about. So please take that into consideration for yourselves as I talk about these things. Let me talk a little bit more about the synergy with DevOps. AIOps builds on DevOps by weaving machine learning agents into human teams, creating shared accountability and dissolving role silos to speed up delivery. So it has a human in the loop. With AI in the feedback loop, operators can iteratively refine systems, combining AI-generated insights with human judgment to continuously optimize pipelines and automate incident response. So are these being done with AI agents? Yes, absolutely. AI agents. These tools are built with AI agents, each of which does some of the things that you see here and more. As I get into more of the functionality, you'll see what it all is. A little bit more on DevOps. So AIOps leverages AI to automate IT operations compared to DevOps, which focuses on collaboration and continuous delivery. AIOps adds intelligent monitoring and incident response. While DevOps enhances agility, AI drives scalability, faster problem resolution, and deeper insights into system performance. So it saves time, reduces human error, reduces operational headaches, proactively addresses potential problems, whereas DevOps relies on automating tools for continuous integration and delivery, CI/CD. AIOps utilizes big data and analytics and machine learning to predict and prevent potential issues. So I actually think there's a market here coming for AI DevOps. Why not? AI DevOps. If you're into that, let me know. I think it's a multi-million-dollar idea. Why AI ops matters today. Modern systems have outgrown human-only monitoring. So forget about it. Cloud microservices and distributed architectures generate an overwhelming amount of data. And without AI, while it is mostly noise, the insight gets lost in the noise as well. AI enables real-time detection and prevention instead of firefighting. And costs are rising and waste is invisible without AI. And also, finally, security threats. They're faster and more automated. You need AI. AI ops platforms recognize unusual patterns and help block incidents before they escalate. Now, probably the number one thing that the data professional is working on today is a data lake. I could be wrong. It's not 100%, of course, but a lot of us are working on data lakes. So what about AI ops in data lake projects? AI ops enhances data lake builds by automating monitoring and the management of vast data flows. It enables proactive issue detection and resolution through machine learning, reducing downtime. Additionally, AI ops improves data quality and security by analyzing patterns and anomalies, ensuring smoother operations for data-driven projects. So AI ops can actually take an offensive position when it comes to data quality in our data lakes. So all of this, hopefully you look at that and go, well, that's good for my project, my data lake project. That is going to help my data lake project. And speaking of helping out, what are the key benefits of AI ops? Well, there's better efficiency. And here are some examples from some leading organizations out there. American Airlines uses AI to watch thousands of servers automatically. The result, 40% fewer routine tasks for the staff so they can focus on important work. These are nice, quantifiable results from these enterprises that are using some of these leading tools that I'm going to get into here shortly. And the tool vendors are happy to share their case studies, right? So this comes from a lot of that. Predicting problems before they happen, like at PayPal, which uses AI to spot unusual patterns in transactions and storage systems. So they catch issues a lot faster. Netflix uses AI to automatically roll back bad updates or reroute traffic. You got Walmart, of course, using AI to predict when their systems need more capacity, like right now during the holidays. Saves money at an American Airlines, stronger security at Cap One, and it learns and improves itself over time, which is really a hallmark of true AI. And these systems, these vendors I will identify, they are definitely doing true AI. Okay. So now I'm going to spend a minute or so on this slide because I have a lot to say about the vendors in this space. And I'm not trying to promote any individual vendor. I can't help myself. A few times I'll mention things, but I'm certainly not giving myself the time to break down the vendors in this space for you today. So without prejudice, I might use some of these as examples, like Dynatrace, which is the one I'm most familiar with. Dynatrace leverages AI for advanced monitoring and automated root cause analysis. So what I'm trying to say with this slide is there's different kinds of AI ops tools. Now, you can get there from here in terms of most of the tools I'm going to talk about. You can do it all with, but they definitely have their strengths and weaknesses. And they can actually be categorized by their strengths and weaknesses. Like Big Panda is great at event correlation and incident automation, streamlining IT operations management. And you got something like New Relic, which provides robust observability tools with AI integration. A lot of the tools in this space, and I don't have them on the slide, but Datadog, for example, they come from the observability space, and they have some add-on, what shall I say, add-on actions that can be done with that. And in total, that creates an AIOps value proposition for you. Now, Dynatrace, back to that, it excels in AI-driven monitoring and automated root cause analysis for complex IT environments. And then it has key strengths, breadth of features, near the top for things like that. Business value creation, features like data visualization, automation, and data analysis. And all these tools, really, they have good 90% plus recommits after the first year. So Big Panda, same thing in regards to that. They get praise for being tool agnostic and able to work in so many different environments and collect a lot of different data and explain that data, explain how it comes to its conclusions, the ease of integration in the enterprise, ease of use. New Relic, strong product with benefits all across the AIOps stack, and scores well when you look at the features and the ease of implementation and management. So, and it's a comprehensive end-to-end observability tool. So it all depends on you and what your needs are. Now, there's a few more. And as I said, I'll be on this slide another minute here. Datadog. So Datadog, okay, it has its Bits AI, which many are not quite using yet, but it has built-in AI. It's best described as an observability platform with built-in AIOps features. There's also Splunk, now with Cisco, of course, and they've kept the core Splunk talent in place with funding and autonomy, and the team is executing well as a result. And people like Splunk for its observability, for leveraging assets of their acquisition of SignalFX, and they can work with open telemetry approaches. That's OTLP. And it's all I can do not to say OLTP. Some of you know what I mean by that. But OTLP approaches open telemetry. It's a framework for throwing off your telemetry as a system. And if you're primarily dealing with OTLP systems in your shop, you might look at some of the open source or cloud native options. Just to finish out the commercial options, I said Splunk, okay, Elastic. Okay, I'll leave them out there for now. Although the Elastic team doesn't follow through necessarily always to the end game of the deal. They are a good tool, but people like their sales teams and things like that to be strong as well. Now you have cloud native tools like AWS CloudWatch ML, Azure Monitor, GCP has its operations suite, and you have an open source alternative. Most people go with Prometheus and Grafana together. A growing number of companies are leveraging open telemetry, and open source Prometheus and Grafana you can use that to roll out an observability solution on top of the OTLP. This also happens where you collect open telemetry and collect time series data. So you get all this data and you put it into a data lake. This is what we used to do. And we point AI at it for a fraction of the cost, because these tools are quite expensive, by the way, all the tools I mentioned. In one case, a client told me that his AIOps quote was roughly equal to the company's entire cloud infrastructure spend. So I'm not going to get into how to break those numbers down today, but yeah, these are expensive tools, but they have a value proposition for you. The only other thing I'll mention here right now is I also heard of one company that's leveraging open source Prometheus and Grafana to collect IoT data from 11 million different devices. So it can scale like that. Now, just following up on AI tool types, the first step is to pull in all the logs, metrics, events, and topology info, and tools like Splunk, Elastic, or Dynatrace help make that usable. All of these tools do. Once the data is flowing, the anomaly detection models, this is where the AI comes in. There's not a lot of AI in the collection part of this AIOps. The AI comes in more on the analysis of the data. And this is where tools like I mentioned some of them, but here's another one. Moogsoft, excuse me, Big Panda and Cloudwise are pretty strong. From there, root cause analysis connects the dots so you can see what's actually causing the issue. And platforms like ServiceNow, AIOps, or App Dynamics handle that well. Automation takes over when something needs to be fixed or kicked into motion, tying into systems like Ansible, Terraform, or PagerDuty. So these tools can work with those tools to make information more readily and in real time available out to the appropriate parties in the enterprise. So over time, the whole setup gets smarter because the feedback loops help the models improve and cut down on the noise. The mechanics, I mentioned some of this, the automated data collection starts with that. AIOps leverages AI to automate IT operations in total. It collects and analyzes vast amounts of data, and it ingests huge volumes of IT data into their models, which look for patterns and anomalies. And then the system does the right thing, which can be a lot of things. It can alert. It can also correlate events, so it can take an individual data item and it can look in context all around at the associated pieces to really understand what's going on. And it can trigger off automated actions and improves its accuracy over time, as I mentioned, with machine learning. So very AI agent driven, as I mentioned before. These AI agents sit on top of AIOps platforms, ingesting the telemetry to detect anomalies. Then they use LLMs or custom reasoning. They correlate alerts with historical data. Now think about it. You can take your logs, throw them into something like ChatGPT. I would never do that. Do not do that. But you can. And if you do that, you can then ask ChatGPT or whatever you're using for some information about those logs. Now, obviously, you're constrained by your window in terms of what you can put into something like that. Again, don't do that. That's what these tools are for. But I'm helping you try to imagine how the tools are working. And after it fixes whatever it's fixing, the agents record outcomes, update the knowledge base, and feed the results back into the AIOps system, creating a self-learning feedback loop that speeds resolution while hopefully maintaining governance and compliance. So when do you step into this world? I mean, we're all monitoring our systems, right? But when do you need AIOps for? This is what I've seen. These are the moments in time when AIOps makes sense for a data professional to bring that into their shop. Many systems have outgrown the limits of manual monitoring. Cloud platforms, microservices, and globally distributed architectures generate an overwhelming volume of logs, metrics, traces, and events. Human operators simply cannot sift through this data fast enough. AIOps applies machine learning to automatically detect these anomalies, correlate signals, which leads to faster incident detection and reduced mean time to resolution. So it ensures reliability across data platforms, protects data quality by catching issues early, monitors data API performance and latency at scale, reduces incident response times dramatically, minimizes downtime for analytics and business operations, and automates all the boring but critical operation tasks, freeing engineers to do more high-value work. That's the idea. Now, I've been accused of hyping up industries before. I think I've hyped up all the right ones. And I will say that this is an important part of an enterprise stack these days. That stack, I've been in the business of data a long time, but that stack is so big now, so complex, so much more complex than it ever has been. And you really do need strong data architects and strong system architects in your shop to make sense of the whole thing. This is not a let's turn it over to AI thing. What do you do? There's so many different tools, and here's yet another one. So I want to be sure that you as a data professional know about AIOps, know what it can do for your data lakes and so forth that you're building, but also that might be something you need to fortify just to make sure the whole data environment is working as best as it can. So back to when to adopt AIOps. When does it happen? When you have alert overload, organizations drowning in notifications from legacy monitors or struggling with hard to trace outages, they look to AIOps for smarter signal filtering. And I would say that's probably number one. You just have so much alerting. Cloud native sprawl, regulatory constraints, digital first sectors tend to be early and frequent adopters of this stuff. And then you're just growing and you want to expand your IT operations, but you don't have the people to grow it with. So therefore you turn to AIOps. So all these things could trigger off a movement into the AIOps direction. Now, I'm going to talk a little bit about Dynatrace as an example tool in this space. Again, without prejudice, just one I happen to know a little bit of, and there's a screenshot. It has what it calls one agent, which runs on the host and containers to collect the telemetry. It and Datadog are probably 1-2-2-1 in the space. They're both observability platforms, strong observability platforms. And by the way, when I say observability here, it is not the same observability that you find tools like Monte Carlo, Big Eye, Telm AI, and others like that. That's more data observability. Unfortunately, people do call these tools data observability as well. Buyer beware, I guess, when you're hearing people talk about this space. But there's observability, and then there's data observability in my book. And today we're talking about observability, although, again, you might hear it as data observability. Now, Dynatrace and Datadog, I mentioned they're the top dogs, if you will. They can coexist, but I think if you got them both, you must have a hole in your pocket or something, because they're really not meant to be combined into a single observability AIOps stack. Datadog is expanding its platform with adjacent capabilities like security monitoring, AI automation, CI/CD, and database monitoring. These additions enhance the overall value and stickiness of the platform. I know I'm talking about Datadog. I have Dynatrace on the screen, but anyway, core observability, just observability is facing increasing commoditization as powerful open source tools enable companies to replicate foundational functions. So it's really going to come down to the analysis of this data as to where these companies set themselves apart. And it's a green field right now for these tools. They are competing hard with open source, open telemetry and Prometheus and Grafana, open source tools. As something that, in my opinion, if you're a very nimble, a very technical startup, you could try Prometheus and Grafana. At the same time, if you're at the other end of the scale, if you're a very large company, you might look at the bill from some of these companies and say, well, let me invest in rolling my own observability and AIOps tool with Prometheus and Grafana. But that big old fat middle, that's a serious market for these contenders. And there's others, by the way. I haven't mentioned ServiceNow. Okay, they're expanding their AIOps capabilities on top of their platform. Now a major player in the space, BMC Helix, Sumo Logic, Logs with a Z.io. That's open source based observability software as a service. And it's gaining traction for its ease of use and cost effectiveness. So there's a lot of players in this space. Now, what about all this telemetry that I keep talking about? But I haven't really talked about it. Well, let me spend a moment on telemetry here so you know what it all could be. Infrastructure metrics, application level data. Now, I'll say mostly infrastructure metrics and log and event streams. But all five of these really is where the telemetry comes from that is analyzed with AIOps. User experience signals like page load times, interaction delays, etc. Custom business metrics like transaction counts, order values, or any KPI you expose to the Dynatrace, in this example, Dynatrace API. So Dynatrace gathers CPU usage data through its one agent, which is just a process that runs on the host. The agent samples the source's values every few seconds, timestamps them, and ships the metrics to the Dynatrace cluster where they're indexed and made available for dashboards, which is the last part of this AIOps, the dashboards. I'll get to that. If you're running in a cloud or hypervisor environment, Dynatrace can also pull the same metrics via the provider's APIs without needing a separate agent. So where does this telemetry come from? Typically from sensors, smart meters, wearables, appliances. If you have automotive telemetrics units, routers, and embedded hardware that continuously emit metrics such as temperature, vibration, usage, power levels, and overall network health. Now, I previously mentioned an organization using open source monitoring tools to ingest and visualize data from 11 million field deployed devices. So the numbers can get really outstanding and exponential on you there, which is why when you have this massive scale, you got to do something about it. So using Dynatrace day to day, what does it do day to day? Let's say you're I'll say 2 weeks into your Dynatrace journey, you have it up and running, you have it trained on your data, it's analyzing service performance, it's viewing distributed traces for slow data integration paths, monitoring database calls, error rates in the queue log, and creating dashboards for pipeline health. So you want to be an AIOps professional. What does an AIOps professional do? Well, he doesn't shred on the guitar like George is doing here, but he or she configures monitoring and tagging strategy through the tool, optimize alerts, and fiddles with the dashboard to make it work best for the enterprise, automates workflows with the AI, and supports site reliability engineer and data teams. That should probably be SRE. Sorry about that. And data engineering teams. So that's what that person does. It's a robust profession. I would advise, yes, people getting into that. I do think it is a job of the next century, or at least decade. And here to stay for the most part, because you're now working with the AI tools as opposed to the system administrator working hardcore on the systems themselves. So what does it automate? Root cause analysis. Root cause analysis. AIOps goes a step further than observability, because it's more than that, by applying machine learning and automation on top of the telemetry. It reduces the alert noise, correlates events across systems, identifies root causes, predicts incidents, and can even automate responses. In other words, observability shows you the data, and AIOps then picks it up and helps you make sense of it and act on it at scale. So again, the AI is used almost entirely for the analysis part of this, not for the collection. And I'm sure you can envision how AI might do something like anomaly detection. You know how we've been doing it for a long, long time. Well, now AI learns the normal patterns within the data for latency, error rates, throughput, resource usage, user behavior, and so on. And then it detects deviations in the new data. And this is all done without using static thresholds. You don't have to say, alert me when it's more than 3, whatever that is. It will figure out when the alerting should happen. Log patterning and noise reduction. Machine learning groups log lines, extracts patterns, removes duplicates, and identifies unusual clusters. This cuts millions of lines down to a few root signals. And finally, event correlation, where AI links signals across systems to remove alert storms. So it has great context on everything that is going on. And in numerous examples that I've heard of, one failure, like one failing database, that cascades into 200 errors. So it's really important to make sure that you catch the errors early. Dynatrace and data lake projects. Okay, I'm just going to put these two together because we've been talking about both of these, but Dynatrace will provide unified observability for data lake ingestion pipelines and microservices, tracking latency across each processing stage from source to Snowflake. Let's say Snowflake, you're using that, and surfacing anomalies that could affect data freshness. So it ingests logs from Spark, Kafka, and Snowflake connectors using AI-driven alerts to flag pipeline health issues and enable rapid root cause analysis. This end-to-end visibility lets the team maintain a high-quality, timely data while reducing mean time to resolution and tying pipeline performance to business KPIs. So in monitoring a data pipeline, the one agent will continuously monitor activity on every compute node across the pipeline. It traces, expose where time is spent, and clearly reveal a bottleneck in the transformation step. That's when the Davis AI analyzes those traces and correlates the slowdown to a resource saturation on a specific node, okay? And the correlation removes the guesswork. The dashboard then visualizes the entire end-to-end pipeline timing, so the issue is easy to spot and verify. And then it may or may not actually fix the problem for you. But it will show you the problem in a dashboard where you have custom KPIs for data service level agreement compliance. And Dynatrace lets you define custom KPIs that track data SLA compliance in real time. It visualizes throughput, latency, and error spikes with clear, actionable charts. Log queries make it easy to pinpoint pipeline failures the moment they occur, and business events tie data-dependent metrics directly to outcomes that the business cares about. So together, these give full observability across your ingestion, processing, and delivery. Architecture-wise, yes, mostly deployed in the cloud. Many enterprises run AIOps on cloud platforms. From a technical standpoint, it relies on a stack that includes ingestion, storage, machine learning analytics, and workflow automation, often enhanced with tools like Dynatrace workflows. And what's interesting, okay, data sources in AIOps. I've alluded to some of this, but where's it coming from? Logs, metrics, traces, events, config data, tickets and incidents, and user behavior data. AIOps will pull in the logs so you can see what the system was doing and where things went wrong. Common challenges. A successful AIOps rollout starts with clear goals and real buy-in across the team, like anything else. But like anything else, we can get so excited about it that we forget to take care of those types of issues. Those types of issues, the so-called organizational change issues, are pretty important here. You're automating, you're automating jobs. You are bringing more relevant information to bear on the team. You don't want it to be more than they can handle, and so on. It only works if the data underneath it is reliable, complete, and easy to get to. So you need to know what data you have, how it moves, and whether it can be stored and transformed in a way that actually supports machine learning. That usually means validating the data, filling gaps, and adding instrumentation before you even think about building models. The initial scope matters too. Don't make it so big that it stalls out. Start small, be clear about how it will expand. And having solid DevOps practices in place first makes the entire effort smoother and more effective. So in real-world applications, we're looking at these types of capabilities that are most prominent. They translate into a real competitive edge. Automated incident detection means you're often fixing problems before customers can even notice, which boosts reliability and brand trust. Intelligent root cause analysis cuts the time that engineers spend hunting bugs, freeing them to innovate instead of firefighting. And predictive resource planning lets you scale efficiently, avoiding both over-provisioning, waste, and the pain of unexpected outages. And here are some industry-specific examples. They could go on and on. Industries such as finance, healthcare, retail, and technology, in which even minor downtime can have massive repercussions, are at the forefront of AIOps adoption. Real-world outcomes. faster resolution of incidents, predicting failures before they happen, lower operational costs, which is kind of the bottom line here, a better user experience, and improved uptime and reliability. Sounds like a lot of fun. Like it is something that we ought to think about. Yeah. Picking a tool. Okay, so you've decided to do this in the last 45 minutes, or maybe you'll think about it, but there comes a time to pick your tool. There's the open source alternatives, the hyperscaler alternatives, and the open enterprise market. Either way, when you pick a tool, there are some basic things that you want, and then we'll get to some more advanced things. Basic things you want. Mature AIOps platforms will typically offer more than this, like open APIs, integration modules, and extensible data connectors to ensure seamless interoperation with an organization's existing tool chain. But you do want to see multimodal data protection, team coordination, and graphical reporting. That's your basic stuff. And here are some more things. Identify and access governance, ITOps connectivity, cause identification, forecasting abilities, and live event surveillance. And that is your basic set of features that you want to see in a tool. And then we move on into advanced features. Some have, some don't. The real game changer is automated root cause inference. It cuts through the noise and gets straight to what actually caused an issue, not just what happened around it. AIOps gives teams a smarter, faster, more resilient operation. It catches stealth configuration changes before they spark incidents, not based on guesses. And when issues do arise, it can trigger self-healing actions automatically. The conversational AI makes the whole system easier to use, from natural language queries to instant documentation. With analytics running at the edge, it supports low latency and sovereignty-sensitive environments. And then there's green IT insights. Let me build this a little bit. There's my green insights that help reduce energy waste and meet sustainability goals. The result is unified observability, stronger security posture, and an operation that stays steps ahead instead of reacting after the fact. Now, this slide and the previous one are really more meant for you to grab when these slides go out to you in email, and use that as you think about the different tools that you might procure in your organization, because I haven't gone into them in great detail here. And of course, beyond these features, there are things like ease of deployment, flexibility, cost management, compliance management, scalability, and support. There is a push towards broader integrated platforms, not ones that are hyper-focused on an individual issue or system, but towards broad integrated platforms that reflect the enterprise today. This reflects buyer expectations for consolidated, full-stack solutions that can unify observability and automation. The importance of execution in a rapidly evolving space. So not just the selection of the proper tool, but the execution within your environment is important, of course. Vendors that fail to advance, whether due to slow product development, limited customer traction, or poor differentiation, have either stagnated or disappeared from the chart altogether, the chart of tools that you might select from. So it is a market that is already beginning to mature, and we already see vendors coming and going in this market, and that is where it is. There's been a shakeout, but I'd say there's still a lot more to go. So good luck to everybody out there. Integrated observability being my last advanced feature that I wanted to build out here for you. How do you get started? Start with the monitoring and observability basics. Start with the basics. Just try to get the data and see the data. That might take you days to weeks. But once you do that, you can explore the logs, the metrics, and the dashboards. You could increase the level of alert notification You can look for opportunities for automated remediation as well as you go forward. You get into alert correlation, reducing noise, make sure it's doing that well. Then you get into automated run books, and finally, predictive analytics and full automation, which should take you some months to quarters to get to that point. The journey, once you've started it, initiate a small-scale trial, guarantee that the data is clean and well organized and properly labeled to maximize the effectiveness of the AI ML models. Form multidisciplinary teams that bring together diverse expertise, because adopting AIOps is best approached as a phased journey rather than a one-time all-or-nothing deployment. As part of the pilot, define clear success metrics such as reduced mean time to detection and mean time to recovery, and compare these against your baselines to quantify the improvements. AIOps spans operations, DevOps, and occasionally security. So breaking down those silos is crucial, and why we suggest multidisciplinary teams and iterative culture. You want to build AIOps skills? Start with learning Prometheus and Grafana. These give AIOps a single source of truth for telemetry across infrastructure, containers, and AI services. Many enterprises will start their journey with Prometheus and Grafana and keep going with it, or decide that, okay, they've learned enough, they want to move to an enterprise scale kind of product like a Dynatrace, Splunk, ServiceNow, all the ones that I've mentioned, Datadog, and so forth. And these tools will pull metrics directly from Prometheus or provide exporters so their data can be stored in a Prometheus backend. That integration will give you the scalability and high-dimensional querying of Prometheus while still using the advanced correlation and automation features of the AIOps tools. In the future, where is AIOps going? Enhanced automation, more and more automation. It will really revolutionize IT operations by enabling faster data-driven decision-making. Its adoption will lead to enhanced automation, proactive issue detection, and improved system reliability. In the future, AIOps will integrate more advanced machine learning, support multi-cloud environments, and enable autonomous operations and drive greater business agility. I also anticipate that in the future, we'll have more AIOps at the edge, and AIOps at the edge is practical and is capable of bringing real business value, like, for example, remote office branches, convenience stores, factories, smart cities, incorporating all of the edge pieces into a hybrid multi-cloud edge-driven environment where there is AIOps permeating the whole thing. So AIOps is shifting from AI-enhanced monitoring to autonomous digital operations, where platforms will detect, diagnose, remediate, and optimize with minimal human involvement. Success will depend on aligning technology capabilities with organizational readiness. So in summary, AIOps automates, predicts, and improves IT operations. It's critical, reduces complexity, improves reliability. These tools, like I mentioned Dynatrace a bit here, provide deep observability, automated root cause analysis, topology mapping, and in Dynatrace's case, Davis AI-driven insights. AIOps helps data teams track their SLAs, improve on them. I mentioned the common challenges like data quality, unclear goals, etc. When adopted with clear outcomes and good DevOps practices, AIOps leads to faster incident resolution, lower costs, and better user experiences, all of which you can grab off a few of those things that you might be suffering from right now, and you can measure the consequences that you're having, and then you can measure the cost of the tools and what that all might look like. So I think AIOps lends itself pretty well to a nice return on investment analysis, most of which I think will come out in a positive direction for adoption. And that leads me to the end of the formal part of the presentation. Back to you, Mark, with any questions.
Love that bobblehead, by the way.
Oh,
That's so good.
one of the vendors gave me the bobblehead uh, with
Yeah,
with my head, and it says
that's
Data
yeah,
Hero.
that's wonderful. There's so much that I love about this presentation, and like a couple of things that I'm going to go back and double check in the recording when we get that out in a couple of days. We have some really good questions in chat. I don't even know which one to ask first, so hopefully we can get to all three. Um, where do you draw the line between automation and human in the loop remediation? How do you set and test those thresholds?
Well, we start with a lot of human in the loop. I would suggest we start with what we know. I suggest a careful rollout with just less and less human in the loop and more automation over the course of time as we grow more comfortable with what the automation is doing. I know it's hard to trust, hard for me to trust. So you just kind of scale that way. Where you draw the line is when it quits doing what you really want it to do. Then it's not automating for you anymore. And that may be that may take you all the way to full automation. I mean, you got to be flexible about it somewhat. It may take you in directions that you're not thinking about, but might be perfectly fine. So you do have to be flexible. And sometimes I know we operate under mandates to get it done and get that automation in there, but you don't want to automate something that's not working, of course.
Right. For organizations with legacy mainframes or bespoke systems, what realistic steps let them adopt AI ops without ripping everything out?
Well, those old mainframe systems, and yes, they're still everywhere.
They
I
are,
think we're
yeah.
yeah, and I actually I think mainframes had their biggest year last year, so it's not
There's
like they're
still
going
people out
away.
there
It's
writing
just
COBOL, William.
yeah, yeah, they sure are. But those of us, I'll say us because I wrote COBOL back when. But you know, we're getting to where we're not going to be around doing that COBOL for much longer. So that's really a risky position for a lot of companies right now. But regardless of all that, a lot of those old mainframe stuff, it's a real mixed bag of compatibility with the modern environments. I'll have to say I haven't really been asked to pull data from any of that into any of these AIOps systems, so I don't know what that process would be like. I know some of them have been adapted for OTLP, but most of them haven't. So everything I just talked about would not apply to you, unfortunately. But for everything else, AIOps would apply. And the more the merrier. And if you can isolate those parts of the enterprise that aren't compatible with AIOps, you're better off. But yes, I don't have any magic about old mainframe systems and their ability to throw off telemetry that makes sense in the modern world and that we can now use, which we couldn't use back then when those systems were built. So
So
it
we
might
have
be a
this
factor, by the way, Mark, in getting off those
for
systems.
sure.
It might be
I would,
that important that you get the telemetry.
yeah, I would think so. I would think so. It's definitely interesting to think about. We do have one last question here. It's a little bit of a longer question. And I share this questioner's uh, uh, concern, I guess. They're very interested in AI operational risk, and in a lot of organizations, that they see the real blockers aren't the ML models, but it's more cultural workflow adoption issues. How do you see AI ops evolving to address the people and process side of operations rather than just tooling? And do you see AI ops ultimately splitting into two domains, such as the providers who build the tech and the deployers who manage the organizational transformation around it?
First part of your
That sounds
question,
like the $1 million question, eh? It's like
yeah.
it could be a whole webinar.
Let me check the crystal ball on that. But no, the first part of the questions of it's a very relevant one, and I mentioned it maybe in passing, but I mentioned how important organizational change was to the adoption of AI ops. But I'm not sure that's what they're asking about. They're asking, you know, is it really ready? not are we trying to take AIOps and force feed it into the organization when it's really not ready. And how do we do that? Yeah, I can tell you
Mm-hmm.
how to do that. That's easy. That's easier than making sure that it's working, and then making sure it fits culturally into the organization.
Right.
All I can say is uh, what you really need to do is run a proof of concept, pick design something small but meaningful in your
Yeah.
environment, run a proof of concept with the tool and learn, see what it does, see if it does anything worthwhile, knowing that it's just a proof of concept and that the benefits just magnify once you put a little more effort into it than that. But yeah, that's what I would say is get to know it for yourself. Um, this is not an option. This is something that is on the minds of executives because it saves money. Let's just cut right to the chase. And so the executives are cheerleading this market to do better and to come on in to their environments. So you're not going to be able to just dig in and not have it. It's coming. So find a way and find a way to make it fit the best that you can in your environment. And again, it gets back a little bit to my answer to the first question, right? Which is easy does it, step by step, make incremental progress towards full automation.
Yeah. A friend of mine says always show value, and it sounds like you're kind of echoing that too.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
show value.
Cool. Well, thank you so much for this wonderful presentation, William. That's all we have time for. To everybody out there in Viewerland, we'll have the slides and everything posted within a couple of business days. Have a wonderful day. Thank you very much, William.
Thank you.